Hey y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. This is my very first YouTube podcast. It's so funny because I've wanted to do a YouTube for a very long time. And I've just been, let's just call a thing, scared, fearful, afraid, all those things. Because of course, YouTube has a lot of people giving their opinions about lots of different things. But I just want to give a couple shout outs. I want to shout out first to Nikki Star TV. I want to shout out to Reality TV Squad. And I do want to give a shout out to Backwoods Barbie, who I absolutely love. And if you have not checked out any of these channels on YouTube, definitely do. I do know that two of these YouTubers cover the same show that I'm going to talk about today. Nikki Star TV covers all my other favorite shows, and she is so great at it. But she covers Real Housewives, 90 Day Fiance, Love After Lockup, all those cool shows. But the show that I'm going to talk about is Sisterwives. Now, let me just say, I do not see a lot of people who look like me doing Sisterwives. There's a couple people out there doing Sisterwives, but I have some things to say about this show, and I have been watching this show from the very beginning. And if you have not watched this show from the very beginning, you are either very smart or you should go back and do it, because it's like, it's hilarious. It gives you all the feels. It's like a really great novel. It gives you ups, downs, rights, lefts. It's like a car accident. It's like watching a baptism or a christening. It's all those things. But we are in season 17. So yes, this show has been on for almost this long, but believe it or not, they are about a year and a half behind on everything. So if you do go back and watch the show, some of the stuff that I'm going to say might make sense without watching it, but I think a lot of people, if you don't already watch it, you may not be able to kind of understand, and it's okay because you can follow what this season is about. Obviously, like the rest of the world, they are coming out of COVID, and for this family, COVID is probably a bigger deal than it was for the rest of the country. And I only say that because of the person who runs their family. His name is Cody Brown. He is a polygamist. He is married to 4 wives, 3 spiritually, 1 legal. That's a whole nother story in itself. But actually in this season, one of those wives is leaving him. It's about time. Like, that's all I can say. It's about time. Although it's surprising that she is the one who has chosen to leave, although the reasons that she chooses and all of that good stuff makes sense. But if you go back and watch from, like I said, season 1, you would probably be surprised at who it is that chooses to leave and who doesn't. So in the beginning of this season, and I'm going to be recapping 1 and 2. I am also behind, not a year and a half, but we did just see episode 3 last night, and I will come back and recap that for you and give my opinion about that probably later on in this week. If you are living in the area that I am living in, we are under a watch for a hurricane. So I might have a lot of time to do these recaps. Anyway, so the COVID rules and your decisions. Okay, so Christine is the wife. Hopefully, if you don't go back and watch this, is not a spoiler. Christine is the wife who has decided to leave Cody. She is the 3rd wife in this polygamist family. And she liked being a 3rd wife. When she decided to become a polygamist, that's all her family knew was polygamy. And she knew she wanted to be the 3rd wife because the 1st wife was kind of saddled with a lot of responsibility. The 2nd wife kind of separated that 1st wife and husband, which kind of interrupted that sort of monogamous feel, even though they knew they were going to be a polygamous family. And being the 3rd wife, she could kind of come in and smooth things over and bring balance back, because now there are 3 different women and there's not such contention between the 1st wife and the 2nd wife. And so she always wanted that role. So the wife that they introduced at the beginning of this series, her name is Robin. She is the 4th wife, but is basically the 1st wife now in spiritual marriage, monogamy, married, really land. Yeah. That, as confusing as I just said, it is as confusing as it is. So in this episode, Christine has decided that she is leaving. And the quote is, the COVID rules, it's your decision. And what she's talking about is that during this whole COVID time, Cody, the husband of these 3 wives, has pretty much made it impossible to go and see his other wives and children besides Robin. His reasoning for that is that Robin follows the rules. She's the obedient wife. She will do whatever Cody tells her to do because she has little ones, is her excuse. But she has adult children also. One is in college. One is on her way to college if she's not already there. So she has adults living with her. Janelle, which is his second wife, has 6 children, and I believe only one of them is still underage and could not move out on her own, I believe. But the others could move out on their own, but her 2 sons do still live in town. Again, remember, this is a year and a half behind, so now they have moved out. But at this time, they were coming and staying with their mom. Christine has children who are grown and gone. Her eldest right now that could leave is Jezebel, who I love. Jezebel, not Isabel. But her youngest is Truly, who is also underage. She's only 10. And then Mary, who only has one daughter who has now come out as transgender. So her daughter, who was Mariah, if you watch the season, is now, I believe, Leon. Don't quote me on that name, but I believe it's Leon. And she has a fiance or wife, maybe by this time, or husband, I don't know, by this time. You can hear the planes flying by. I do live near where planes would go by. But so now Christine's decided to leave. And because of COVID, he's made it very hard to go between houses and see his wives. And the excuse is that he does not want to be around some of the kids who have more social lives. They go out, they see their friends or their girlfriends. They tell them that they are keeping the COVID rules. They believe they are doing what the CDC has told them will keep them safe, but he still doesn't trust that. So he stays at Robin's house. Now, if you've been watching the series, you know that most of America who watches this show believes that Robin is his favorite wife. Robin came into the picture and it has been downhill for Christine pretty much since then. There is a time in the show when she says in the first episode, as she's talking to Cody about their marriage and why she has moved him out into the garage. At the end of last season, she moves all of his stuff into the garage, into different boxes. And she says it's pretty much been hell being your wife for 10 years. And 10 years is just about the time that Robin came into the family. It was pretty apparent that she was favored the moment she walked in. There were times that really upset me in her courtship because Christine was pregnant with her youngest, Truly, and Cody was at Robin's house. Now, if I remember, and I'm pretty sure this was said, you are not supposed to kiss the woman that you are courting until you marry her. And at the time that Christine calls Cody to say, hey, I'm about to have your child by myself because you're not here, Cody was at Robin's house and he leaves out of the door and he's closing the door behind him to keep production or the cameraman from filming him kissing Robin, whom he is not married to. This is also something that comes up in their confessional as all the wives are sitting there. And Christine says, I would never kiss a married man. I believe a couple of them don't have a problem with it. Like, obviously Cody doesn't have a problem with it. I don't think Mary had a problem with it. I do believe Janelle and Christine had a problem with it, but Christine was the most vocal about the fact that she really did not appreciate that he was kissing Robin. So basically Christine said, to the left, everything you own in a box to the left. She put him out. All his stuff was in the garage, right? So Robin, the wife that everyone really dislikes, I'm just going to be really nice, is she says in this episode, she goes, COVID started exposing the crack in our family. I kind of think it was when Mary divorced Cody so that he could marry you and adopt your children. Now, again, I'm going to go back because I've been watching this series since it began. And yes, there is a season where Mary offers to divorce Cody to then marry Robin so that he can adopt her children. Now, it is not guaranteed at this time that marrying Cody will ensure that he can adopt them because what has to happen is that the father has to relinquish his rights. And at this time, the father had not relinquished his rights. As a matter of fact, they were having a pretty hard time getting back to David Jessup is his name, to get him to say, yes, I will let these rights go and Cody can adopt the kids. So all of this uncertainty, but we got to rush out and get married because they felt that it would show the judge somehow that they were in a better position and stronger or something of that foolishness. And so that happened. So yeah, I'm going to say this whole thing with your family falling apart started way before COVID. Just taking a guess. But I think most people who watch this show and have eyes and ears and would say that. I mean, there are some out there who love Robin and are on her side and think she's getting blamed for everything. But to most people, I'm going to say most people, it's pretty apparent that, that's when this marriage started to go downhill. Not to mention that Mary was also in an online relationship and got catfished. But why was she in an online relationship anyway? So it begs that question. So first of all, Robin is divorced. So she comes from a broken relationship. So she knows how it feels to be in a place that you don't want to be in. Yet she keeps trying to convince Cody to go work it out with Christine. Go work it out. Sleep on the couch if you have to. You're supposed to show her that you can stay there and stick with it. No, I don't think it's about sleeping on the couch, dear. I think it's about being a good husband and showing your wife that you're there and for her way before it gets to a point where she puts your stuff out. Just an opinion, just saying. So, it just kind of reminded me when he says that Christine doesn't want him. It reminds me of that whole Waiting for Guffman scene where her acting is so bad in this that it's like that less is more. If you've never seen Waiting for Guffman, please go check it out. Go check out Waiting for Guffman. But there's a scene in that movie where there's an actress who's going, I've studied this method where less is more. And she's turning, when you turn towards people, you close your eyes. But when you turn away, you open them and then you close them and then you open them. It's like Robin has studied some sort of weird acting technique, or she and Cody have sat and discussed how they're going to react to certain things. And it's all stupid. It's just all stupid. So then Robin points out the unfairness in plural marriage. You think? Yeah, like the husband gets to have as many wives as he wants. You have to make do with that one person. And if you don't get what you need from that marriage, you are supposed to just suck it up and take it and keep sweet. That's the keep sweet, whatever. So anyway, so then we go on to Christine, is like checking her notes, and Cody comes in and looks around and he goes, I see you sort of moved me out. Like he does, like he doesn't, like he needs to look around to make a point. I see you kind of, moved me out. Yeah, I did move you out. You saw your boxes and that's why you're here. So what are you looking around for? Nothing of yours is still here. Don't worry. It's kind of like that. So she goes, yeah, I didn't want, he said you didn't want intimacy with me. And that's not fair. That's what Christine says. Like, you said you didn't want an intimate marriage. I want an intimate marriage. Why would I want you in my house? Why would I want you in my bedroom? No reason for it. You don't like me. You only want an intimate marriage with Robin. Go handle yours. Go do you, boo, basically. Right? So, I guess she asked him. She says, I asked you if we were going to have this intimate marriage and you shrugged your shoulders. I didn't say that I didn't want an intimate marriage with you. I shrugged my shoulders. Yeah, well, like she says, like, do I really want to be with somebody who, if I say, are we going to have an intimate marriage, they shrug their shoulders? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I swear. And I'm looking at my notes. So yeah, you're going to hear paper turning because I have to take notes. There's just so much. So, I have a question then. If you're here, because he says he's heard these rumors that she's leaving from the older kids. He's heard these rumors, but he's never taken the time to sit with her and ask her. So I've heard these rumors about you leaving me. Is that true? Yes, it's true. If she says, yes, it's true. And wouldn't you, if you loved her, wouldn't you say, well, what? Why? What's going on? I know we've had hard times. I know we've had a bit of an issue here, but why are you leaving? Like, why are you? He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be there. It's just the cold, hard truth, And yeah. And I have to say, over this time watching the series, the amount that they used to cuss and the amount they cuss now, y'all, it's like from angels to sinners. Like it's so funny. Like they all cuss like sailors now. It's great. So then she basically says to him, being married to you has been 10 years of bad. That sounds so horrible. 10 years of bad. 10 years of bad anything is just bad. It's awful. Like I couldn't imagine 10 years of looking at somebody and going, this is just bad. But trying to keep yourself in it because that's what you feel like you should do. Even though everyone around you says, it's my phone, everyone around you says, get out. Get out. Like you've watched him even treat another wife badly for longer than that. But you're still there. It's so weird. She brings up a point about how back in the early days when they lived back in Lehi, Utah, she had to work at night and leave her children while pregnant with Truly to go and get a job. And that Cody would not come over and help her tuck the kids in. Yo. So her 10-year-old daughter, Aspen, was the one tucking the kids into bed, reading them stories, tucking them in. Really? 10 years old. The house in Lehi, Utah is a house where you literally can walk through a door and be in someone else's living room or kitchen or what have you. And that's all he'd really have to do unless, get this, unless he was at Robin's house, which was away from the compound of where the three wives and Cody spent his time. So the house in Lehi, Utah, just really quick, if you haven't watched it, the house in Lehi had three apartments. It had 3 apartments. And so Mary had an apartment, Janelle had an apartment, Christine had an apartment. Her apartment was downstairs in the basement. So if you hear the term basement wife, that is kind of how she felt, like a basement wife. And she was literally living in the basement. But Robin, when she came into the fold, got her own house, like her whole own house. And so unless he was at Robin's house, he could have gone through literally a door and helped put the kids to bed. But chances are he was at Robin's house, which was away, which would have meant leaving precious Queen Robin and her princess and princesses and coming to help tuck in his kids while his pregnant wife, very pregnant wife, was going out to work at night to bring income into the family. Wow, what a douche. Anyway, so then she says, Cody says that he's been here every day with us, or he's been here every 3 days or every 6 days, whichever that may be. Christine points out, we have done 3 things together with him in the 800 days that we have lived here in Flagstaff, Arizona. We've gone hiking, we've gone kayaking, of which he brought Robin's kids because he was babysitting them, and he got in the water one time, which was probably not the time that he had Robin's kids, because Queen Robin would not want her precious little princes and princesses to get wet, probably. So, yeah. I feel like the way he's looking at her is like, I don't really want you to stay. I just don't want you to mess up my place in the heavens. They have places in heavens in celestial glory that the more wives you have, I believe, allegedly, the more wives you have, the higher your place is in the celestial glory. And by her leaving, he loses that, because I want to say, and don't quote me, this is allegedly, you have to have so many wives to get to a certain level, and you have to have more wives to get to another level, and so on and so on. And so by Christine leaving, it kind of messes up his place. So that sucks. And that's kind of how he's looking at her, like, damn it, you're messing up my place in heaven, Anywho. So finally, he admits that he married Christine out of obligation. And I have to add here, Probably because her dad was a very high church ranking officer. I don't know if it's officer, but he was definitely in the upper echelon of the church. And I think that he saw an opportunity, and she was cute enough. She was overweight for him, but she was cute enough, and your dad's got a pretty high position. Okay, let's get married. Now, meanwhile, Christine's like, you were my first love. I was so in love with you. I was smitten. I was crushing. I was all of that. But he was disgusted watching her eat a plate of nachos from the gas station. So she tells him, don't point your finger at me during this argument. But then he points too at her. Don't point the blame at me. Always the narcissist. He's always got to put it back on her, make somebody else the blame, of course. So, So basically, again, talking about intimacy, because it always comes back to that. He's like, we had an intimate marriage. She goes, yeah, 2 or 3 times a year doesn't cut it. I agree. That is not a marriage. That is a booty call. And I'm sorry, but I am more than a booty call. You go ahead and get that from Robin. Do your do. But I'm going to be over here in Utah living my life, living my best life. You come visit us if you get the chance, right? So then he's like calling her a child, basically, by saying working it out is what grown-ups do. Well, okay, but grown-ups also know when it's time to exit stage left. Grown-ups also know when they're being mentally abused, when they're being gaslit, when they're being controlled, when they're being looked at like a place in heaven and not a wife. So grown-ups know when to leave. Grown-ups know I don't want to lose my peace for your prosperity. Grown-ups also know that, right? And grown-ups also take responsibility for their part in things, which Cody doesn't ever do, because Cody knows all. He is the grand wizard, if you will. I don't know, whatever he wants to call himself. He just doesn't ever take responsibility because he's, narcissistic. I am not a licensed doctor, so I'm not at all claiming to diagnose him, but that's what I see. So then she says, do you think Robin's ex said the same things to Cody? Because Cody says, that was my next question, because Cody says that what he's really afraid of after he's tried everything, he's thrown everything at the wall, nothing has stuck. Christine is sticking to her guns, like, I am leaving, I am out, say what you want. And so he finally says, what I'm really afraid of is that you're going to go to Utah, you're going to meet another man, he's going to be greedy and want some of our money and to keep my child away from me. Really? Promise me that's not going to happen, he says. And she says, not going to happen. No pinky swear, no fist bump, no high five, no whatever. He just accepts it's not going to happen. You know why it's not going to happen, Cody? Because Christine's not like you. That's why it wouldn't happen. Christine is somebody who realizes that Truly needs her dad, Truly loves her dad. This is not Truly's fight. She is having this fight with you. She is having these problems with you. Truly is not. But I just wonder, did you think maybe that Robin's ex-husband felt the same way? Because essentially, that's kind of what happened, right? You married his wife, so she came and met a man. And you maybe didn't go after his money, but you went after his kids. And now I don't know if they go see him or not, but you adopted his children. He has no rights to them now. The gall. So Christine finally says, there's just so many other places you'd rather be. So many other places. Well, not so many other places. One other place. Or if you want to say so many, you could go, yeah, there are so many other places you want to be with Robin. It's kind of like that thing where you go, we're going to find gum on the street, fill in the blank. It's all the places he'd like to be with Robin. It's something that we here in TV land, outside of TV land, have known for years. But now it's finally being said, and we are so happy it's finally being said, because it's been a long 17 years of screaming at that TV. Girl, that's his favorite. That's his favorite. Like, it's been a long time. So he finally stops, and he's at the end. It's like, the way I sort of looked at it was like, how in a horror movie, when you shoot them or whatever, and you think they're dead, and they jump up one more time. Like, that's kind of how this whole conversation felt to me from his end. Like, he would die because his point wouldn't land, and then he'd jump up again and rawr, you should be a grown-up, and then she would get him, and then he'd rawr, I'm afraid that some man's gonna come along, be greedy, take my money, and keep my child away. He finally realizes there's nothing that I can say that's gonna make her change her mind, and he says, all right. And then episode 2. So let's just jump right into episode 2. So basically it opens up with yet another conversation, right? And he talks about how he's a good dad. He's good at keeping, he's not used to babysitting his kids, but he's a good dad, and I'm like, yeah, except for that time back in the day when you almost let Truly die because you weren't making sure she was drinking enough. Because the other older kids should have made sure that I'm just the dad. He drives me nuts. Can you tell? And she goes, I'm trying. He goes, I'm trying to be big about this that you're leaving. I'm trying to be big about it. Well, what do you don't have to try to be big about it, Cody. It's going to happen whether you're big about it or not. She's out of there. Like, you can be big about it. You can be small. You can act like a kindergartner. You can throw a fit. You can do all those things. She's out. Thank goodness. C'est la vie. And then he asks her, he goes, well, would we be breaking up if you didn't have to move? Who cares? Well, she answers very nicely because she's Christine, and she goes, I don't know, but I don't think we'd last. Boom. Again, torpedo. She just keeps torpedoing this man, and he will not go down. So she basically is admitting, she's leaving because she doesn't feel safe with him. She doesn't like him anymore. She wants to feel important, which she doesn't, because the only important person is Robin and her kids. So many contradictions in what you expect everybody else's children to do, but you don't expect the same of Robin. Something that has burned the bottom of my feet for this whole time is, you've got adult children. He's told Janelle this. You've got adult children that need to move out so that I can come and visit. So does Robin. Robin has a nanny to take care of little ones. The only 2 little ones that she has are Solomon and Ariel. Her older kids, now one of them, I can say, probably would not be able to help with some of the schoolwork and things, because I think there is maybe some sort of an issue that she's alluded to in the past with his learning. But he went to college, or he, whatever, but he did get into college. So he's obviously, not some kid who doesn't know things, but she also has a daughter who's gone through high school and could help her kids with their schoolwork. I mean, Solomon's in pre-K and the other one's not even in school yet. I think he's kindergarten, maybe pre-K kindergarten. What are they doing in these classes online that the daughter could not help him with? But you need a nanny. Okay. Again, like Christine has quoted, what does the nanny do? That's my favorite question this season. And why aren't you helping them with their schoolwork? Like, what's with you? Like, what are you doing? Because from what I know, Robin sleeps late. School starts probably at, like, let's say 8, maybe even online, 8:30. And where are you? Get up and help your children with their work. You don't need a nanny. You need to get off your butt. That's what you need to do. And she doesn't want to have to bow down to your queen wife, who is Robin. Because Christine says what it basically comes down to is that there is a favorite wife and that she's just not treating her well enough. We all know who the favorite wife is. And we all know that Christine has had a problem with Robin from the beginning. And that's what I think he's building everything on when he says, you've never tried to have this relationship with these women. No, with Robin. You have not tried to be nice or kind to these women. Robin. Because she gets along with Janelle. She and Mary are fine. She's tried to help Mary, but Mary's not been very nice to her in some situations. But then she has in some situations. It was Mary who, when Christine said 2 seasons ago now, I can't do marriage with Cody, it was Mary who got up and went over to talk to her. So who is she not trying to be kind to? Robin. So then the boys are basically calling out their dad. I think it was Garrison who calls and says, you know what, Dad? Basically, your COVID rules are BS. We know what it's really about. And so you go do that. I'm going to do me. You go do that. You go be with Robin and her kids. I'm going to be over here living my best life and taking care of my mom and doing all the things I said that I would do and sticking to it. Because I thought I remembered you saying that if mom got COVID, you would be over here taking care of her, and you're not. I'm making up that last part. He didn't say that. He may have said that at some point, but I'm saying that right now. That's really what it is. So Robin is sitting there, crying, saying that the boys have called her out and there are rumors going around about her that are not true, and that, they think that she has some power over Cody, and that if she did have the power, she certainly wouldn't choose what they've come to here in COVID. She would have made them sit down and talk about their problems and really get it worked out. You know what, Robin? Here's the thing. I'm a woman. You're a woman. We all have a power. You have more power than maybe you know or realize or are willing to say you have, but you got the power because you're the only one that gets to use her power. Let's just put it that way. You're the only one whose power matters right now. If you know, then you know. You got a lot of power, girl. And you're the only one getting to use that power. Because I think Maya Angelou said that she has diamonds at the meeting of her thighs. And honestly, that's the way he looks at you. So when you say you don't have any power, I just have to go back to the fact that you made that man promise that he would be back to you by Christmas for the little ones. Thank goodness it was because he had gone to support Janelle in her mother passing away. But you made him promise to come back to you Christmas. And he said himself that had you not made it back there, you probably wouldn't forgive him. Now, I realize that's probably just, analogies or just words of, not analogies, but just words to say, oh, she said she wouldn't forgive me, But I believe there would have been a real price to pay. You would have huffed and puffed and pouted and cried and you promised me you'd be back. And it's because, I sit there and I believed you. Yeah, well, he made it back, and he always makes it back. So there, you do have the power, girl. You have more power because just power in being obedient. Power. Anyway, that's my little sum up of episode 1 and 2. Episode 3 was on last night. Episode 3 aired last night, so I will go back and do a recap of that because that was even more interesting. And I think that after episode 3, it might be decision time. It might be discussion time with the other wives. And stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening to my first YouTube. I keep saying Facebook. Thank you for listening to my first YouTube podcast. Please listen. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, become somebody who listens to me. If you don't want to, that's fine too. I'm just talking and having a great time and being creative because that's who I am. And please, again, go check out Nikki Star TV. Go check out Backwoods Barbie. Go check out Reality TV Squad, who is like an expert at kind of summing this up. But again, shout out to them for just inspiring me to do this. There's room for everybody, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.